Hello everyone, so in this video we're going to be looking at sorting an array using something called a bubble sort. Okay, so this video is just how you do it in Java. We'll be going over the theory behind it and how it works in class separately. Okay, so let's have a look at it though, because I'm going to have to tackle some theory in this so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so let's just imagine we have an array and it's called numbers. Okay, and inside this array maybe we have 1, 7, oops, get rid of that comma, did we do that? Maybe 5, 21, and 3. Okay, so not a very long list. Okay, and if you think about our referencing, our indexing from this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, now if I want to sort this, okay, if I want to sort this list, I'm going to have to look at these positions in the lists in twos. Okay, and then I want to look at it, and I want to, what I really need to see is, if I'm going to do it having the biggest at this end and the smallest at this end, I need to look at this position in the list and I need to compare it with this position in the list, and if this position is bigger I need to kind of swap them around. Alright, so the only way you can really do this in Python is by creating another variable and calling it something along the lines of temp. Oh, temp, not temp. Alright, so if I make a temp variable and I make it equal to 0, okay, and then what I want to do is I want to check these two, and if this one is bigger I want to put that value into temp, and then I want to place this value into position 1 and then put the temp value into that position there. Okay, that's what I need to do. Okay, now I probably made a little mistake here in terms of, let's just delete that and let's switch them around. So let's have that as number 7 and let's have that as number 1. Okay, so what we need to do is say we make temp equal to 0 like I've already done. Okay, and then what I'm going to have to do is say something like, if numbers at position I, and remember this will be in a loop, okay, I'm just showing you the basic code, we'll look at the code properly in a second, is bigger than numbers in position I plus 1, then what we want to do is have temp is equal to numbers in position 1, position I, and then have numbers in position I, we're going to make equal to numbers in position I plus 1, and then we're going to make numbers in position I plus 1 equal to temp. Okay, so this code here basically does what I was talking about before. So we're saying if this number is bigger than this number, what we're going to do is put this value into the temp, and then put this value into position I, and then put the temp value into position I plus 1. Okay, which basically swaps them around. Okay, in some programming languages there is the ability to just simply swap them, but Java is not one of them. Okay, so we need to use this temporary system here. Okay, now it's not just as simple as that, because we need to use not only a while and not only a for loop to go through the array, but we also need to use a while loop to do it, so we can say, well, we're going to do this until no swaps have been made. So basically until we run through it and we haven't swapped anything because everything is in order. Okay, so I know that if I use a for loop to go through this and something has swapped, there's a potential that there could be another swap to be done. So I'm going to run through it again and check, and then run through it again and check until I make no swaps. And once no swaps have been made, I know that it's all in order. Okay, so this isn't the most efficient way of sorting an algorithm, but it is one of the ways that IB want you to be able to do. So let's have a look at the code for this. So I've already set up my project and class. I've imported arrays from Java because I'm probably going to need them in a second. So let's make a start. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to make a Boolean variable, and I'm going to call it flag. Now this is, and I'm going to make it equal to true. Okay, now this is the variable that's going to help me run my while loop, and I'm going to run this while loop while the flag is true. Okay, so the flag being true means that that something has swapped around in my array. Okay, and oh, what did I just do there? I'm sure what I did there. Okay, now I'm going to create my array. Okay, so I'm just going to call it numbers. Nope. And we're going to make it of type integer, and it's called numbers, and I'm just going to set the values myself. All right, so we'll do it in a bit of a mixed up order so we can see it in action. All right, and then let's just, yeah, we'll leave it at that. We won't have it too long. Okay, so that is my array. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say while, and then flag is equal to true. So this is going to happen because flag is equal to true, because I've set it up that way. Okay, and then in here I'm going to go straight into a for loop. So I'm going to say for, let's go I is equal to 0. And we're going to run through the for loop until now I is less than numbers dot length. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put -1. Okay, now the reason I'm going to, well, I'll explain in a second after I finish this line of code actually, and then we can put I plus plus. All right, so the reason that I've put, integer, int I. So the reason I put -1 here is because I'm going to go through and I'm going to check these two together. So I'm going to be at this position here, and I'm going to check it with that one, and then once I've done that, I'm going to be at this position and I'm going to check it with this one, and once I've done that, I'm going to be at this position, I'm going to check it with that one. Now at that point I'm finished. If I go on to this last one, which will already be in order by the way I've searched it, or the way I've swapped it, sorry, if I check this one and I'm at this position and I try to check the next one in the list, I've run out of space and I will get an error because I'm trying to check something that is longer than my list is, so it won't work. So I put -1 here, so the last position that I am on, or the last position I will be in, is this one here, and it's going to compare it with this one here. Okay, all right, so then we go into an if statement. So I'm going to say if numbers at position I is greater than numbers at position I plus 1, do the following. All right, I've just realized what I haven't done here is at the top I haven't created my temp variable. So let's have int temp and make it equal to 0. Okay, so if numbers at position I is greater than numbers at position I plus 1, what we want to do is say temp is equal to numbers at position I. Okay, then we want to say numbers at position I is equal to numbers at position I plus 1. And then we say numbers at position I plus 1 is equal to temp. Okay, so that's just swapping, that basically swaps them around. All right, now here I'm going to put flag equals true, because if that happens there's going to be a swap. Now you might have noticed what I haven't done is I haven't set flag to false. All right, so the first thing I want to do in my while loop is say flag is equal to false. Now the reason for this is that I want it to be true to start off with, because I want to go into my loop to check, but the first thing I want to do is set it to false because it might already be in order, and it will only be turned back to true if the number at position I is bigger than the number at position I plus 1, because we want to push the numbers that are bigger towards the end of the list. Okay, so this will run through and it will keep running through until this if statement is never invoked, because the number at position I is never bigger than the number at position I plus 1. So that would mean that the flag stays false and it stops running, and I can come out of this loop. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to not come out of the loop properly. I'm going to print out the list each time so you can see each time, or how many times I have to run through the list to get it in order. Okay, so here we'll just do this out, and we can just, all I'm going to do is say this is why I imported the arrays. So we're going to say arrays dot toString, and we'll look down for the integer one, and we're going to use numbers, and then we'll run it just to make sure it works. I haven't forgotten anything, so you can see 12, 34, 1, 5, and you can, it goes through and it's swapping them around time and time again, and until you get to the bottom where you've got 1, 5, 12, 34, 55 in order. Okay, now I'm going to just finish off by just doing the dot replace, just to give you guys another look at how you do it, to make your list look a bit better. So what if I go, so remember this is going in between the two brackets, not after the end bracket. So dot replace, and we want to replace the opening square brackets with basically nothing, and then we're going to do a second dot replace, and we are going to replace the closing brackets with nothing. And if I run that again, so you just got a nicer looking list. It's still a bit, because of the difference between 1-digit and 2-digit numbers, it's a little bit it's not straight, it doesn't look like straight columns, but it does look a lot nicer. Okay, there is things that we can do to fix that. We could maybe say numbers and then have a /t to stick a tab in there, and I think that might make it look a little bit nicer, or maybe not, because I can't do that because I can't put a string in the toString method. Never mind. Okay, so we can leave it like that. All right, I think I made this one long enough now. So again, have a look at the code, try and write it yourself, and try and change it around. Maybe use an array full of strings, maybe a list of names or a shopping list or something, and try and put that in order using the same method. Okay, but just remember the way you compare strings. Actually, in this case, it should be fine. It should work. It should work the same way if you do it with strings. All right, but have a try yourself. Write the code, comment it. If you have any questions, give me a shout, and I will see you in the next one. I'm not sure what we're doing next. I think it might be methods, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, but I'll see you then.